Hello and welcome on Today, the program that addresses the future of our community through conversations with people who are working today for a better tomorrow. In our last program, we talked about how to create or recreate thriving neighborhoods. I'm Ray Charmonti, your host for Beyond Today, and Assistant Executive Director for the Hills County City-County Planning Commission. We will be talking today with two guests about providing excellence in education. Our guests today are Poindexter, Superintendent, Hillsborough County Schools, and Begue of Tampa, President County Council of PTAs. Welcome to Beyond Today.
Welcome.
In the vision for Hillsborough County, we see a time when education is recognized as the key to our successful community. A progressive school system provides our communities with many advantages where we learn a sense of who we are, and it helps us to understand our culture and our roots. The schools are truly the centers of our communities. Randy, in Hillsborough County, we have a very large school district, and I'm sure some of our viewers may not be aware of just how large. Can you give us some figures about Hillsborough County's size?
Sure, Ray. Right now, Hillsborough County is the 12th largest public school system in the nation. We have 145,000 students just in kindergarten through the 12th grade, about 166 schools. So it's a very, very large school system, 12th largest in the nation, and we're growing at an average of about 4,500 students every single year. So it's big.
You've got a lot to keep up with,
right.
I guess. Bunny, you, I guess, also have a large PTA organization. Can you tell us what the PTA is for our viewers who might not be familiar?
Basically, PTA consists of parents and teachers that are concerned for the welfare of children, and we lobby as well as support the school in any way we can to support the children and the education system.
How many PTAs are in your organization that you're president of?
Plus the 168 in Hillsborough County. We have over 350,000 in the state of Florida, as well as in our county we have close to 49,000.
Wow, that's a lot of members. That sounds like you have a formidable job.
Yes.
I'd like to show a video now that shows teaching at some of the Hillsborough County schools to give our viewers an idea of some of our classrooms and what occurs in them. The teach-in gives people a chance to go in and share their careers with the students. This occurs once a year in November. This is Jim Norman, who is a member of the Board of County Commissioners, speaking to children about government. And Dottie Berger, who's the new chairman of the Hillsborough Board of County Commissioners, also doing teaching at one of the classes. Thank you. Randy, we talk about a lot of problems with the schools, but I kind of wanted to start off on a little bit of a more positive note. While there's a lot of gloom and doom in discussing schools sometime, can you talk to us a little bit of where Hillsborough County fits in on a state and national level as far as test scores and things of that nature?
Sure, Ray, I'd be glad to, and we're excited when we talk about our test scores and our academic programs within the school system because we do so well in Hillsborough County. Of our SAT scores, Scholastic Achievement Test, the test that's used to youngsters to qualify to college and is used generally as a gauge of how well school systems do. Our SAT scores are above the national norm, above the regional norm, above the state norm for the state of Florida. Same way with the ACT, which is also a college entrance exam. Our scores are above the state, regional, and national norms. We do that, and we're still proud to say that we test almost 50% of our seniors for the SAT. So that's a strong indication when you test that many youngsters and still can score above the national average. High school competency exam that you have to pass in the state of Florida to get an exam to get a diploma. We have the highest competency exam test scores of the 10 largest school districts in the state. We have more Florida academic scholars than any other district in the state, and we have for the past 10 years. Also for the Florida Gold Seals vocational program, we've led the state again since the inception of that program. So although our school system is large, Ray, we have a lot of indicators that there is a great deal of very positive education going on and a lot of indicators of success within the school system.
You were discussing that we had the highest number of, what was the term that you used?
Florida academic scholars.
Right. Is that regardless of the population of the different counties?
Yes.
So even the larger, because
yes.
Hillsborough isn't the largest county.
Dade County, that's twice the size of Hillsborough County, we have more Florida academic scholars than they do.
Well, that's great.
Broward County is about 1.5 times as big as us, and we have more Florida academic scholars than they do. We have more than any other district in the state, and have every year for the past 10 years. So we're excited about that.
That's excellent. Bunny, regarding the PTA, as far as you said that they're there to support the schools, but are there other involvements? I mean, does the PTA try, I assume, to get parents more involved in the school?
Oh yes, we are involved in parenting as well as the education of the students. We're also involved in legislation, which we lobby for the rights of children and any concerns that relate to children.
Mm-hmm. What's some recent legislation, I guess, that has been discussed? Or I know there's probably a lot going on in Tallahassee.
Right now, funding is our biggest issue.
Mm-hmm.
Is the fact in our county alone that we get enough new students each year to build 3 schools, and we don't have the funding for this. It's caused an overcrowding situation in the schools that we're beginning to feel in all areas. And the funny thing was that in relation to our, this is our 100th year celebration, our 25th year, we had the same problems. They were coming into the atomic age at that time from World War II, and legislation was all ready to do so much for education, but when it came down to the funding, they didn't have the funds. And it seems like this is always will be a fight for the PTA has in relation to children.
Well, yes, I guess that is something that's always going on. Regarding when we talk about funding for schools, is that a serious problem with the construction of new schools?
Yeah, yes it is, Ray, and as Bunny has indicated, during the past 10 to 20 years, the state of Florida as a whole has seen a very, very large growth of students, and state of Florida is growing. Right now, Florida is the 4th largest state in the nation. Within 10 years, it'll be the 3rd largest state in the nation because of the growth to the state, and a great deal of that growth is centered in the center of the state of Florida. So we get it. As Bunny indicated, we've grown 4,500 or so students every single school year, and that's enough. You'd have to build 4 or 5 schools every year to keep up with that growth. We're so far behind in construction, Ray, that we have about 1,700 portable classrooms in use in the school system today. We're very appreciative that the voters of Hillsborough County passed the half-penny sales tax referendum, this community investment tax, this past fall. But the legislature has some responsibility. They should be providing dollars for school systems in the state to build schools, and those dollars are just not there. So as Bunny indicated, you will see a great deal of discussion in the legislature this spring about providing dollars to build schools, capital outlay dollars in the state.
Is there any other methods that you can think of to help finance the new schools that are needed? I know there has been some discussion of the idea of I guess there is a school impact fee now, but possibly.
The impact fee ordinance really provides money not to build schools, but to purchase the sites on which those schools would be built. That's called the site impact fee site ordinance, and that gives us dollars to build some school sites, to purchase those sites, and that helps. But you still, even when you have a school site, you have to have the dollars to build that school as well. The homeowners are taxed. There's a 2 mil levy on your property tax to pay for that. You're taxed now when you buy merchandise with that half-penny sales tax. But again, the legislature has to come in, and they have taxes on utilities and other types of things that can provide dollars for school systems, and there'll be a strong lobby, not just from Hillsborough County, but I think you're going to see it from 67 school districts in the state to provide those dollars to build schools. There's got to be some relief, and it has to be more than just the local taxpayers paying for that. So you'll hear a lot of discussion of that in the next 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Bunny, there's a lot of talk about the idea of neighborhood schools, I guess. Do you feel that having a school closer to where the children live, does that help parents stay involved, or what effect do you think that has?
It helps a lot with the involvement of the parents, just in mere transportation, with most of your parents working these days. We have in our magnet school program the students that do go outside their clusters, but this cluster plan they have is working. They're implementing it now, and it's just that we feel that the closer the student is to the home, the more involved the parents will get in their schools and take pride in their schools. We have parents now that have gone to Jefferson and Hillsborough, and it doesn't matter where they live, they still support those schools and they remember their high schools. So there's a definite loyalty to schools in our community. So I think...
but it probably helps to be close.
It does, it does. If your child is sick and your neighbor is watching the child for you, so it's easier to get to that child. Or if a parent, in some cases, don't have transportation, and if they have to get all the way across town to pick up a child, it's very difficult for them. So yes, it would help.
Randy, do you see any movement toward neighborhood schools at all?
Yes, I do, Ray, and we agree with everything that Bunny's just said. You know, when a school's in your neighborhood, you can meet with the teachers easier. You can, if your child's sick, you can get to them easier. We agree with that. I think most of the audience realizes that in Hillsborough County, we've been under a court-ordered desegregation plan since 1971, and that plan, unfortunately, did have us taking kids out of their neighborhoods to go to other schools. 5 years ago, we went back to the court and asked the court to let us modify that plan to create what we call middle school clusters, so that youngsters could stay in their communities, and if they did go out of their communities, at least they're with the same youngsters all the way through school. And so we have, the court approved that plan. We've been implementing that for the last 5 years. Next year will be the final cluster implementation, and generally then youngsters will be kept in their neighborhoods, K to 5 for their elementary school, 6 to 8 for their middle school, and 9 to 12 for their high school. And there are some anomalies and there are some exceptions that had to be worked out, but the plan goes a giant step in the direction of what you're talking about, realizing the value of keeping youngsters in their neighborhood for school and keeping them together when they go through school, so that they know classmates and their friends, and the teachers and staff knows them, and it's we're excited about that, and Ray, it's already showing some positive effects in the school system.
That's great. When we return, we'll talk some more about education. Thank you.
Planning is in your future. For your future, your children's, and your grandchildren's. In the year 2015, how old will your children be? We need to know what you want for your future. Do you want clean water, clean air, trees, shade, and sidewalks? Do you want to preserve your community's history? To expand the interstate, or do you want high-speed rail? These are decisions that the planners want you to make. How can you be involved in comprehensive planning? Keep informed. Watch your local government in action on Hillsborough Television or attend public meetings. Take 5 minutes to email the Planning Commission on issues that emerge in your community. Volunteer for citizens committees or get your community group involved. Learn more on the Planning Commission's homepage. You can do this at your local library if you don't have access to the internet. Keep abreast of community issues by reading your community newspaper and letting the Planning Commission know how you feel. Contact us by letter, email, or give us a call. Hillsborough County City County Planning Commission, 601 East Kennedy Boulevard, 18th floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602. Call 272-5940 or fax 272-6258.
Welcome back to Beyond Today. I'm your host, Ray Shermonti, and we've been discussing providing excellence in education. I'm here again with Randy Poindexter, Assistant Superintendent of Hillsborough County Schools, and Bunny Begue, President of the PTA's Council. Randy, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the business community and maybe the idea. We hear a lot about businesses needing to form partnerships with schools. Is that a new idea, and where are we going with that?
Well, it's a great idea, and fortunately in Hillsborough County we're blessed with great business leaders and great business partners who see the value of being involved with the public school education system. In the past 10 or 15 years in Hillsborough County, we've made some giant strides in involving the business community within our schools. In fact, now every school has in place a school improvement team that helps that school to develop plans and goals, and around 7 state goals, and included on that team are business and community leaders. So we involve business people in the school, and they do assist us financially. Business partners like to identify needs in schools. It may be a school in a low socio-economic level that needs assistance with purchasing computers for children, or it may be a school that has other needs, and business partners do rally to our assistance. And Ray, I can't praise enough the business people in Hillsborough County. They've been great supporters of our school system, and we see a great value in that. One of the unique things we did in Hillsborough County last year, and it was so successful, we're getting ready to repeat it, to help business people understand the school system. We had a day that we called CEOs as Principals Day, and we took CEOs from the major businesses of Hillsborough County, brought them into the school, and let them shadow the principal for a day and let them be a principal. And they got to see firsthand some of the things that are happening within our schools. We did a pre-survey of those business leaders before they came into the school, and their perceptions of our schools were not very flattering. When they left after being a principal of the day, we did a post-survey of those same business leaders. Their perception had risen tremendously after spending a day in the school with those principals. So we're getting ready to repeat that again in March, and we see great value in involving our business leaders in our school, and we welcome their input.
I think that sounds like a very good program.
Yeah.
A lot of times when people understand something from the other side, they have a different view.
Right.
Bunny, I think that volunteers probably have some importance in the school. How is the PTA involved in encouraging volunteers to help?
Well, basically, our parents are our volunteers in the schools, and like he said, a lot of the community will volunteer. Basically, we do things for the schools that need to be done, and the parents are involved in helping the teachers in any way they can. We also provide training for parents. We also provide the parenting classes that are needed, arts for the schools. We are very fortunate in having sponsors to help with a countywide national program for the arts. They help with a lot of the things that the schools do. It's amazing, like Mr. Poindexter said, that without these community support, the schools would lose an awful lot, and we thank them too, because they are the backbone of a lot of this, the needs of the schools right now, because we're running so short in funding that they're taking up the slack as much as they can, and it's been a very positive.
Do you see any increase in the number of volunteers recently, or is it pretty much the same? Or
well, it's just like a wartime. If there's a crisis, people come out of the woodwork. If things are doing pretty good, they think, then you don't see them. But yes, we get new volunteers all the time. One of the newest program is the reading that the PTA is helping volunteer. We're beginning to work with SERV soon on that. We've asked some of our volunteers to go into schools to help the children with their reading. There's just a lot of programs out there that we contribute to. We work within the community as well as just individuals in their schools that are there.
Ray, I was just going to mention one other thing. Your lead-in tape showed the Great American Teach-In. One of the ways we get businesses involved in schools is to ask them to come in to our schools and talk to children about careers. What you saw as the Great American Teach-In was an idea that originated in the Hillsborough County school system 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we probably had about 3,000 speakers that year. This past fall when we did it, we had over 15,000 presentations. School systems all over the state of Florida have now emulated that, and they call us and ask us for our information. How do we set it up? How does it work? And the legislature even contacted us last spring about information on this Great American Teach-In and how does it work. So that's another great way of bringing businesses into the schools and maybe saying to them, you know, that's fine if you want to be a business partner and assist a school financially, but even if you don't, we'd love for you to come in our school, talk to our children about careers and jobs and businesses and opportunities and value of education and what you're doing. And it is done during the Week of American Education, and it is probably one of the greatest PR things we've ever done in the school system. And our business leaders love it. They love doing it.
Yes, I participate in it. It's an excellent program.
You're one of those 15,000 presentations.
Has this spread to other states?
Yes,
or
yes. Other states are doing it. We've had contacts from other states asking us about it, but it really has spread in the state of Florida. And one of the things that we're now competing against ourselves, because our surrounding counties are now doing it, and they're trying to get the same business people in their schools. So we kind of plateaued off on our number of presentations this year. But it's a very popular program and a great way to involve businesses within the schools.
I think it is, because it does give people a chance to visit the schools that they normally wouldn't do. I guess to talk about a little bit of controversy lately is the whole issue. You mentioned how fast we're growing and how many new schools we need. What are some of the problems that the school board faces when you're trying to build a new school? I guess it's just not that easy. It's just going and building one.
Well, of course, Ray, you know, you have to go through a process of site selection, determining a site, where it'll be located, and then when you get the dollars for the school, you build that school. But a great deal of study has to be done with demographics and student populations and boundaries. What we can't afford to make a mistake. When we build a high school, that's a $30 million building, and we can't build it and 10 years later say, oh gee, we made a mistake, this is in the wrong place. If you look around the nation, there are districts that have done that. There are districts that have built a school and 5 years later closed it. Because they misprojected populations or misprojected their own demographics, and we're not afforded that luxury. So the school system has very few dollars to build schools, and those are precious dollars. So we spend a lot of time looking at the trends and the demographics and make a determination of what area of the county a school should be, what population it'll serve. So it takes us a while. That doesn't happen overnight, and there's a lot of planning that goes into that process.
But pretty much the school board, I guess, has been playing catch up with the growth.
We've been playing catch up I've been in the business 28 years, and 28 years ago we were behind. So yeah, we've been playing catch up, and the growth is coming faster than we can build schools. In this school system, in 10 years, we've gained over 30,000 students in 10 years. 30,000 students that we gained, that's bigger than probably 2/3 of the school systems in the nation. Our growth is bigger than the whole school system in other districts. And yes, we've been playing catch up, and the dollars to build the schools have not been there. So the school system's been struggling with it. We've done a lot of things with portables, as you know, and sometimes we have to do some unpopular things like put a school on double session. But when you're faced with 3,500 high school students in a building that holds 1,800, you run out of creative ideas. That's what you have to do. So,
do you you mentioned portables, and I know that's a big issue with a lot of people. Do you see, is there any trend or movement? I've heard discussed where a school might have a permanent core with some designed portables around it. Is there any kind of innovative ideas that are being looked at?
It is being looked at, Ray. It's a very good question. It's what you're describing is what's referred to as a modular school, where there would be a core facility like a permanent cafeteria, dining room, and a permanent media center, and maybe a permanent administrative suite, and then you would have classrooms that are all portables, but they would be located in such a way that you could go back 10 years from now if you had the money and build permanent classroom wings where those portables are, and the core facilities are there to handle it. That's a concept that other districts in the state of Florida have utilized. Orange County has built several modular schools in the last 3 to 5 years. Volusia County has built some modular schools, and they are counties that are just like us. They're dealing with tremendous growth. nowhere to put children and no money to build schools. So you can build a modular school for about half the price you can build a permanent school. So if you've got $6 million and you could build one elementary or two, you would want to consider that. Now, our school board has not in any way made a decision to build modular schools, but they have asked the superintendent staff to provide information, and the board has had a workshop to discuss that concept. So there are districts doing it, and it's getting mixed reviews. In some cases, it's become a very high maintenance problem. Those modular buildings leak, the roofs leak, the floors break, the doors. It's not a block and concrete block building, so there tends to be high maintenance. The heating and air conditioning costs are higher because they're not as well insulated. They don't, 10 years from now, they don't look like a permanent building looks 10 years from now. So, it's a dilemma that the board wrestles with. And there are some districts in the state that have built the modular schools 3 or 4 years ago that have now said, we're not building any more of these. We're not getting the return on our money that we should be getting. So, so you're right, it's a very controversial discussion, and while we've looked at that information, we've made no move to build
I would think
that
the actual design probably has something to do with how well it holds up also.
You're correct.
Of the modular units.
You're correct. And we've had architects who have designed modular schools in other counties. There is a modular school in Pasco County to our north, and the architect who designed that has come down and met with our staff to show us how it's done. So architectural design has a lot to do with it. You're correct about that.
Bunny, regarding the PTA, does every school have a PTA?
Just about. There's just very few schools left that don't. Even now, when the new schools open, they have their PTA in place when they open. They've found that this works better, everything runs more smoothly with the PTA in place. That helps to get the information to the parents and to see that things move along rapidly.
How do you set up a PTA in a school? How would you do that?
Well, you just get a charter and you go with it and get the parents organized that are interested in starting it, and help them select their officers, do their bylaws, and their nominating committees, and then they go forward with it to their General Assembly.
So your organization probably provides some assistance and guidance to people wanting to start their own PTA. Well, that's great. I'd like to thank today's guests for talking with us about education, and it's certainly one of our community's most important visions. Next month we will talk about achieving a safe environment. I'm Ray Charmonti, and on behalf of the Planning Commission, I thank you for thinking beyond today.